Good day, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. So, in this episode, we're going to continue the ongoing coverage of the civil war that is taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia. The fighting continues along the southern front. We can confirm, as of today, that Tigrayan Defense Forces have secured the area in the vicinity of Dabat. The TDF also continue to besiege the city and town of Dabark as the TDF continues to consolidate its hold on the mountainous regions north of the city, and then obviously from the north into the south direction towards Dabat. So we can clearly see the Tigrayan Defense Forces who are now solidifying their hold in a southwesterly direction with the seizure of Dabat, the semi-encirclement of Dabark, and we would assume at some point we could see pressure start to build on Gondar. We have not seen that as of yet, but we could see that in the near future as Dabat and the areas around Dabat become under the continued control of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. In the east, we continue to see a very significant offensive by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, in which we are now getting reports that lead elements of the TDF have entered the outlying areas of Kombolcha. We also continue to hear of another unit moving south in the direction towards the Dese-Kombolcha Gap and towards Dese itself, and then other units that are moving down the rugged terrain to the west of Dese. And it would appear that the fighting is now very close. It would appear that the Tigrayan Defense Forces have seized control of Hayek and control that small town and the approaches to Hayek, as well as they continue the advance towards Dese. Now, we are getting reports that the Ethiopian Air Force continues to remain active, and we have heard reports that they have hit targets in the vicinity of Mersa, Tigrayan Defense Force targets in the vicinity of Mersa. We have also heard reports that the Ethiopian Air Force has actually mistakenly bombed some of its own units to the east as well in some cases, and this has also have occurred west of Weldia as well. Again, the Ethiopian Air Force does not possess a precision attack capability. The only precision attack capability that could come into the equation would be the use of more advanced drones, such as those deployed by the Turkish, and in some cases the Iranian drones as well. Can perform a precision guided strike. Now, we're getting reports that a unit or element of the Ethiopian military coming from the vicinity of possibly the Afar region or the east of Weldia has made a move towards the outlying areas of Weldia. Now, I want to first say that usually we see this sort of commentary coming from Amhara media, coming from Ethiopian state military, when things are not going well. And obviously, just yesterday we heard reports that the entire Amhara region was calling up all of its university and quite possibly its senior aged high school students as well. And that is a very foreboding sign if you are a supporter of the Amhara region and the Ethiopian-backed government, as it is a sign of desperation in terms of this sort of mass conscription and request for volunteers that is occurring. And we can also say, in regards to the reports that are coming out of the east of Waldea in terms of any sort of possible counterattack towards Waldea, that the we've seen this before. We have seen as the Tigrayan Defense Forces approached Alamata and were engaged in battles around Korem. We heard the Amhara media, the Ethiopian state, report that the Tigrayan Defense Forces were defeated in between Alamata and Korem, and no Tigrayan Defense Forces were inside of Alamata. Now we know that the TDF fully controls Alamata. We heard the same sort of talk as the TDF pressed towards Kobo. We heard that the TDF was dying in droves around Kobo, and the fact that they had seized Kobo was not true. They were about to now lose Alamata when they even denied the fact that they had seized control of Alamata prior. And again, we've heard the same sort of rhetoric after a city is taken, which they deny the city is then taken. They deny the city is then taken, and then they talk about a counterattack on the city that they very denied that was taken. And the same with Waldea. We heard reports that the city had never fallen, that the TDF never entered Waldea, but we know that's not the case. They in fact control Waldea. So again, these reports in terms of conducting counterattacks in the vicinity of known battlefield defeats is standard for the course, so to speak. So again, we get these reports out of Amhara media, out of the Ethiopian state media after the fact, and then they talk about operations allegedly near areas that were never captured or never reportedly to be captured. So again, you really have to take some of these reports that are coming out of the Ethiopian state and the Amhara region with a grain of salt. I would say that in terms of information coming out of the Tigray region, it has been more accurate. I would say that portraying devil's advocate, that some of the reported losses that the Tigray region has reported, that the Tigray regional government has reported in terms of losses that it has inflicted upon its adversaries, quite possibly have been exaggerated. And we've heard some relatively high numbers coming out of those reports. But generally speaking, when the Tigray regional government reports on seizing control of a certain area, it has in fact done that. And again, on the flip side, just from someone outside looking in, the Amhara region, Ethiopian government, are really reporting inaccurately in terms of any sort of battlefield defeats or any sort of setbacks. They deny that it has occurred in any format, and they continue to do that, and it usually occurs after a major defeat. So again, we're seeing fairly significant defeats that have occurred near Dabat. We've seen defeats that are possibly underway in and around Kombolcha and Dese, and then lo and behold, the Amhara media then reports that there is some sort of massive counterattack taking place on the city of Waldea. Well, I guess I understand reporting that, but the reality on the ground is, why wouldn't there be proper defensive operations to prevent the fall of Dese, prevent the fall of Kombolcha? Or if you had the capability to do these sorts of operations, prevent the fall of many of these other cities, such as even Waldea, Lalibela, that have fallen, and they're not able to do that. It's always after the fact that we see this this counterattack take place against an area that has already been seized, and they have been defeated in that area. So it's kind of a strange reporting methodology, and I would assume it's designed to keep morale up in face of waning morale, in face of difficulties in some recruitment now, and we're probably starting to see mandatory conscription in the Amhara region, and forcing individuals to go to war, which is again is not uncommon in the sort of total war environment that we're seeing currently now. But again, it really looks like the Tigrayan Defense Forces are continuing to press its offensive towards Dese, have entered the outlying suburbs of or the outskirts of Kombolcha, and continue its advance. And we could possibly see the envelopment of these cities or the seizure of these cities at some point. We do know that heavy artillery has been brought up in the environments of from Wildia south, and that could be used at some point, and in all probability is being used in the area. But that's kind of where we stand right now. We will continue to monitor the situation and report as events warrant. Have a great day, everybody.